I support Ukraine. I stand with Zelensky.
Aw, thank you.
Aren't you an LGBTQ ally, though? Yes, what does that have to do with anything?
It's just their whole personality, hating on LGBT people and picking on them at every single possible time.
Well, for starters, Ukraine does not allow gay marriage. They only see marriage between a man and a woman.
See, I told you, but she conveniently forgot to mention that starting from 2022, we have active discussions of introducing civil rights to the gay couples and allowing them to get married. Here, President Zelensky himself stated that.
Same-sex couples there are not allowed to adopt or even bury their deceased partner.
If anything, shouldn't these things make Republicans our allies? No? Interesting. Again, conveniently, she left out the information that that is constitutionally not allowed simply because they are not allowed to register their marriage yet. But individually, anybody can adopt children regardless of their sexual orientation. And regarding legal burial or making choices for your partner if you're LGBTQ couple is also about to change because our movement is actively petitioning for that. Enough of signatures have been collected and our president is going to address this situation.
Well, they do allow abortion. Yeah, they're really big into bodily autonomy, considering they're literally taking men off the streets and just putting them into a war they did not volunteer to fight. That doesn't really sound like they are big into bodily autonomy.
How is arresting anyone for breaking the law equals to having the right to have an abortion if you need one? That will never make sense to me. Also, majority of reports of men being arrested on streets to throw in war comes from Russia. You know that, right?
Well, we agreed 30 years ago that we were going to protect them. Yeah, that was a spoken agreement. They're not a part of NATO.
Signing Budapest Memorandum has nothing to do with being part of NATO. Russia that signed it isn't part of NATO. Ukraine isn't part of NATO. UK and the US are. And that has nothing to do with being NATO. That's a promise to protect if we are disarming Ukraine from nukes.
That is not a binding legal agreement. We can pull out. We do not have to legally protect them. We've done everything we can to help them.
Yeah, legally you're not bound to protect anyone and help anyone. But what message it sends to the world? That A, you are as trustworthy as Russia is, meaning not trustworthy whatsoever. Any promise you give is as valued as Russian promise, as well as the toilet paper you wipe your ass with. Because it means nothing. You don't have to follow with your promises, even if you disarm a country from their nukes, the means of protection. And B, that means that no country in the world is safe unless they have their nukes. What you've done by not following with your promise is sent the message that everyone nowadays have to fastly build their own nukes. You made the world less safe when Ukraine in 1994 made a choice to make the world more safe. You are a bully. You are a fake promises country. You are not reliable, and nobody can ever rely on you and be your ally because you will stab in the back.
I'm just going to shoot it to you straight, okay? There's three outcomes. Either Ukraine loses, which this is not a winning war for them.
But a stance comes from a woman, so you say that if you're weak, you should allow the aggressor to take over and take advantage of you. Thanks.
Either we side with Ukraine and fight against Russia, which we do not want to do.
Because why? Because you're so scared of Russia that can't win over a weak Ukraine in 3 years? Wow. Speaks volume about your power. Maybe the world should finally understand that you're not as a great superpower as you think of yourself.
Or there's peace. Which one would you prefer?
Here is your version of peace that you're forcing Ukraine to sign. Yesterday, Kryvyi Rih, Russia attacked a playground with a missile, killing 6 kids on the spot. Over 40 people got injured. People's houses and cars burned. Thank you for this kind of peace. Your peace means shut the fuck up, Ukraine, and get killed and genocided in quiet. So we Americans who support this peace sit and pat our own shoulders and back and say we saved the world by allowing Russia, a big aggressor and a terrorist country, to genocide entire 47 million population country that minded its own business and tried to be free.
Well, peace, of course. And that's what Trump tried to do with Zelensky.
Listen, girl, I know you tried to do something with this video, but every single point you made is actually working against you. Because in your description, you mentioned that US and Ukraine have not the same values. How in the world? Ukraine is predominantly Christian and religious. We don't have only Christianity in Ukraine. Moreover, all these confessions of the religion in Ukraine are working together nowadays because what we try to do is survive through the genocidal war. We are not for war. We are for peace, but we're for just peace. We want to be left alone, be independent, build our own country, democratic country with democratic values in Ukraine. We have done so many changes after the Soviet Union, the prison of republics collapsed. You have no idea how much we had to go through in order to be where we are right now. We are fighting corruption. Ukraine is actually climbing the ladder from being very corrupt to least corrupt. We are trying to be free. We are trying to be sovereign. We are trying to live by the standards that any normal human being wants to live. How is that different than what you claim you stand for? And bringing up conscription in Ukraine of those men who have to serve by the law as a bad thing is funny, because you probably don't know that it's illegal to avoid conscription if you are called to serve your country, just like in the US. But of course you don't care, because your party is not about following the law. While your country is forcing my country to drop the age limit for conscription from 25 to 18, your country is bullying Ukraine into actually grabbing and sending to war kids. So don't speak about that, okay? By shitting on Ukraine that is living through the shittest times nowadays, the most hard times you've never lived through, makes you look bad, really bad, and shows exactly what values you stand for, not good ones. And by shitting on Democrats for supporting Ukraine, actually makes an opposite effect on what you thought it would be. Because bringing up gay marriages in Ukraine that isn't allowed, doesn't it make it look like actually you Republicans supposed to support Ukraine for that alone, since you hate on gay marriages so much? Doesn't it make them look better than you with your values? That despite of us not allowing yet gay couples to marry legally, they still support us, makes you look very bad. Because they know we're striving to be better, while you are striving to be worse by showing it actively, your face, your real values. I'm not a Democrat, neither am I Republican, but I know as a fact, living in the US, that Democrats aren't all about just gay people. They have more different values and standards. And you should be ashamed of yourself that you know this little about your own fellow citizens. You should focus more on your country, as you stated in your bio that you are a patriot of the US. Talk less shit about others, focus more on positive things. And how about you talk about the US nowadays, how great it is to live in the times when groceries are extremely expensive, when stock markets are falling and failing so many people. More than 60% of Americans have investments in stock markets. How about you talk about terrible tariffs policies, that everything that we are buying from other countries will be way more expensive for us Americans? How about you talk about ban of protests, freedom of speech, arresting American citizens and legal residents who have green card, who just traveling abroad, having different opinions on this government? How about you talk about that, all those great achievements of your president? And if you don't support a country that is trying to survive, just don't talk about it. You're not contributing anything good to it. All you do is just showing us again how less and less and less reliable you are, how untrustworthy you are, how two-faced you are, and what kind of values you have. None. Next time you choose to talk about Ukraine, do at least some basic research, because you look ignorant.